Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order the December 7th meeting of the Santa Barbara MTD Board of Directors. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to start with a roll call of the board members. Director Sarkar. Good morning, Arjun.
Good morning, present.
Director Lemberger. You're
present.
There you go, Jen. You got it. Thank you. Good morning. Director Perotti.
I'm here, present.
Thank you. Good morning, Paula.
Good morning.
Vice Chair, Director McQuarrie is absent today. Vice Chair Tabor.
Here.
Good morning, David. And I am here. So we do have a quorum, and we will ask for the report regarding the posting of the agenda, please. Madam Clerk.
Good morning. The agenda was posted on Friday, December 3rd, 2021 at MTD's administrative office, mailed and emailed to those on the agenda list and posted on MTD's website.
Great. Thank you very much, Christina. That takes us to the consent calendar. There are two items. Item 4 is the approval of the minutes for the meeting of November 16th, 2021. And the cash report, item 5, is for the period November 6th through November 26th, 2021. Are there any questions or comments on either of those two items? Paula, I see your hand raised.
I need to abstain from the minutes. I was not at the last meeting.
Great.
Sure.
So noted. If there are no other questions, do I have a motion to approve? Go ahead.
How about the YACO scholarship fund in the cash report? Just maybe what that is, or
Yeah, you for new members, Mr. Strada, you want to explain what that is?
Certainly. Mr. Yako was MTD's first general manager, and the scholarship fund was established. It's managed by the Santa Barbara Foundation on behalf of the district. Contributions for the employees funded for the benefit of students, or essentially sibling or children of MTD employees.
excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, do I have a
Can I make
ahead.
a motion for approval of the consent calendar, noting the glee in my heart with the $156,000 in passenger fares this period.
So noted. I have a motion for Director Tabor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Directed by Director Lemberger. I will do a roll call on that particular motion. Director Sarkar.
Aye.
Director Lemberger.
Aye.
Director Perotti, noting your abstention.
Aye.
Director McQuarrie is absent. Vice Chair Tabor.
Yes.
And Chair David votes yes. So consent calendar is approved. Thank you. Concluding consent calendar takes us to item 6. This is public comment. This is for anyone who wishes to speak on our calendar, or items not on our agenda today, but within the purview of MTD. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone who wishes to speak under general public comment?
I don't see any hands raised, and I don't have any emails that have come in.
Great, thank you very much. That takes us to item 7. This is a recognition of retirements. Kind of bittersweet as always, because these are really good people. So here we are, we're going to honor the retirements of 2 members of staff, Tom Shelton and Bill Morris. I want to turn this over to General Manager Estrada to make the introduction.
Happy. I couldn't be any happier for these 2 gentlemen. They have worked tirelessly on behalf of the district and our community to oversee 2 of our really critical systems. For Mr. Sheldon, What, he's overseeing is our IT systems. And I could speak from the experience of being his predecessor that, over 18 years ago, he has done an amazing job of modernizing our systems, of keeping in tune with what's happening out there and keeping our systems safe and secure. And I can't say enough for the work that Tom has done on behalf of MTD and the IT systems and making sure everything is safe. And at this point, I'd like to, offer Tom the opportunity to say a few words, and then, we'll say a few words about Bill as well.
Yeah, Tom, floor is yours,
All right.
my friend.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the comments, Jerry. I have to say I debated whether I should wear a tie this morning, but the role of IT is sleeves rolled up. That's pretty much the way we work. So I just want to I'd say that I appreciate my time at MTD, and it's been a fun ride. Sometimes it's cruising down the highway, and sometimes it's riding your dirt bike up the mountain. So, there are days where it's a struggle, but it's been fun. A lot of good people I've worked with over the years. Bill, I hate to see you go too. We got to meet up somewhere and have a beer someday. So I appreciate that. I do want to say though that we've just a couple things about IT is that we've really never had a breach. And I think that's something that we kind of have to look back at management, and I have to thank them for allowing us early on to sort of lock the system down. And I don't know if any of you remember, but in the days of Windows 98, users could install their own applications, and we sort of had to lock that down. And it's been that way sort of ever since. We put in some firewall systems that have, put in some strict controls and all that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've managed to keep everything pretty secure. I'm not saying that, it could be somebody's in there, but so far I think we're pretty safe. So anyway, I think that this job really takes somebody that sort of is willing to take ownership of the network and really sort of make it their own. And Pablo's, he seems to be doing that. So I think, we can rely on him for really just getting into it and getting his head into the whole thing. So anyway, thank you everybody for many years of it's been an opportunity for me as well. So I appreciate everything, everybody, and everything that's been done.
Well, Bill, or Tom, we really do thank you for your years of service, because I know when I came on the board now quite a few years ago, you really helped me all the way through the system every time we'd have an issue, and you will be sorely missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for everything. And, you've definitely left it better than you found it, without question. That's going to segue over to Mr. Morris. And I think the whole safety and security thing, when you look at Bill's title, he's operations manager. Bill is pretty much oversees our workforce, the majority of it. And I think he's done a fantastic job over the years. Bill, I'm so grateful for the work you've done. I've learned a lot from you as you came up from a driver, supervisor to operations manager. You worked your way up. I worked my way up on the other side of the agency. We kind of did it together. And it was nice. It was great having someone like you on that end that cares about the people, but understands the responsibilities and takes it seriously. And the work you've done over the years, in particular, in responding to emergencies. We've had a lot of those, unfortunately, in our community. When that happens, a lot of people understand it's the operations manager that's running the show. When debris flow, Thomas fire, my role as general manager is to be supportive and say, what do you need from me to get you the resources to get it done? But he's managing the workforce and responding. He does that every day. He does it in emergencies. Bill, you set the bar high, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Bill, you're muted, my friend. You're good now.
Where's an IT guy when you need him?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. Talking about the workforce, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it alone. I have I have a team in the ops team that I want to say thank you to. Dave Morse, who's been with me for 20 years, and Manny Cassadon has been over a dozen years anyway, and newer to our group and kind of spearheading the whole thing now is Mary Gregg. I think we have one potent group there that gets this job done, and hardworking at all hours of the day. So I appreciate the other three helping me do that, monitoring the workforce. But I need to take a moment, if I can, and thank the driver and the soup group. So when you can tell that the character of our group when the climate is not healthy, mudslides, fires, that sort of thing. What our group does, rather than retreat, is raise their hand and say, "What can I do?" And they volunteer for extra time. So their efforts, their character, their professionalism has made my job a whole lot easier. So thank you to the drivers and the supervisor group. And then to the rest of the staff, I worked with each one of you, and we set a good rapport, one that I'll take out the door with me and keep. I appreciate all your help, and thank you very much. Jerry, thank you so much for being a good GM.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Well, Tom and Bill, like I say, we will both miss both of you. I applaud you for your service. I wish you, and I know from the board, we wish you the best in your next phase of whatever you choose to do. And it's been a pleasure, real pleasure working and knowing both of you. So thank you. Not the same as a standing ovation in the conference room. It's about as best we can do virtually.
It works for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you both, guys. Good luck, and we'll see you on the streets.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Jerry. Really good. Okay. Moves us to item 8. This is the Charge Ready Bridge General Contractor Contract Award recommendation.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Davis, members of the board. I'll be handing this item off to Ms. White, our interim procurement officer, to walk you through the process that we've gone through and to articulate our recommendations. With that, Valerie, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Morning.
First, of course, I have to echo that appreciation for both Tom and Bill's service. Really, in their own way, they have paved the way to MTD's future. And that is my literal segue into the recommendation to advance construction plans. This action authorizes MTD's general manager to execute a contract when certain contract conditions are met with Edwards Construction Group for a firm fixed price of $414,133 for the general construction services related to the installation of 14 battery electric bus charging stations at the Terminal 1 location in downtown Santa Barbara. As Capital Projects Manager Ryan Grip presented recently to the board, this is a key step towards our goal of going fully battery electric by 2030. And this project is known as the Charge Ready Bridge. Prior to actual charging station installation, there's actually a series of civil and electrical work that needs to be done. And this includes pouring concrete pads with conduit for each station, as well as adding bollards and painting or striping in the lot. Then, to maximize the Charge Ready Bridge general contractor project, additional facility improvements were included in the scope, and that consisted of replacing the existing chain link bus exit and fencing, repairing damaged pavement and the storm drain in the driveway onto Salas Puertas Street. The technical specifications and construction plans and drawings were developed by MTD's design consultant, Stantec Architecture, in coordination with and approval by MTD staff. And to bring us up to date, since submitting that staff report in front of you, the plans have been approved by the city, so the project is now permitted. So let me jump into the solicitation. All projects of this nature must be accomplished following MTD policies and the California state laws for public works projects. And that first step was the issuance of an invitation for bids in October. Sealed bids were due and publicly opened on November 17th. The low bid was Edwards Construction Group. During the solicitation process, there were 2 optional pre-bid job walks and 4 addendum issued. Edwards Construction participated in the job walk, and the firm also acknowledged all addendum in their bid submittal. In addendum 2 of the solicitation, bidders were provided with an estimated range for this project at $450,000 to $600,000. And MTD's independent cost estimate of the project had come in at $548,084. So Edwards Construction Group's low bid price of $414,133 is competitive and considered fair and reasonable. MTD had budgeted at $1,525,000 for this complete project, where $414,133 will go to the general contractor work, and $881,028 will go towards the charging equipment acquisition and installation, and the remainder for project contingency. Still, staff is working to mitigate the capital expenditures for this project by pursuing various funding opportunities through Santa Barbara County Air Pollution District, Southern California Edison, and the California Energy Commission. Each of these programs are dedicated to providing funding for electric vehicle charging infrastructure project. Also, in inspection of the Edwards Construction bid, I did want to note it proved responsive to MTD submittal requirements. And in reference checking, the factors that are critical for success on MTD projects were accomplished successfully with their other public entity clients. Credit references are also included and indicated the financial capacity to perform the work. Thus, the bid has also been determined responsible. So just to circle back to the staff's recommendation, if the board approves the general manager to execute an agreement with the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Edwards Construction Group, as the charge-ready bridge general contractor, staff will issue a notification of contingent award, requiring that prior to contract, Edward Construction meets the MTD master agreement insurance requirements and submits performance and payment bonds at 100% the contract price, as MTD's procurement policies for construction work requires. Then, upon execution of the contract, staff will issue the notice to proceed and work will begin within 14 calendar days, and it would be expected to be completed within 6 months. So that encapsulates the general contractor solicitation and staff's recommendation, and I will do my best to address any questions.
Great. Thank you very much for your presentation, Ms. White. Questions from the board at this point? Not seeing any questions, I'll go to the clerk. Madam Clerk, is there anyone who wishes to speak on this item?
No one at this time.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll come back to the board. We're looking for any action from the board at this point to, and the recommendation is a little long, so I would move staff recommendation as an action.
I had one question.
Go ahead, Arjun.
With the 6 months timeline, knowing how things are working out there in securing for all different reasons, how does it proceed if due to acquisition of materials or anything like that, contingencies?
At this time, there has been no concerns brought up with the supply chain. Of course, with any construction project, there could be possible delays for various reasons, and we would definitely keep everybody abreast of that. Or actually, Project Ryan over there, I see he's on the call, would be the one they'll have to report that to. But at this time, this is not an issue or concern for Edwards.
Brian, you want to add anything?
Yeah, thank you very much. To add to that, when we have the kickoff meeting with the general contractor, assuming that the board approves the recommendation, we can go ahead and submit a contract to Edwards. We'll discuss that lead times, long lead time items specifically. In terms of the work that they have to do, the longest lead time item that I can think of would be the fencing material. They'll work with a subcontractor to procure the fencing along South Sequetta Street. The other materials are pretty standard, conduit, electrical, cabling, concrete. The majority of their work is not going to require a lot of material acquisition. In fact, the majority of it is labor itself. So I'm fairly confident we're not going to run into that, but I would say that that would be the one area we would be concerned about. The good thing is the majority of the heavy duty equipment that's far more costly and perhaps has longer lead times, that's under SCE's purview, because this is a joint project between us and SCE. And again, the major electrical equipment associated with the project, that's SCE's responsibility and could potentially slow them down. But I think they have a pretty good reserve of this type of equipment available to them since they're such a large entity.
Great, thank you very much. Other questions or? Not seeing any, I'm looking for a motion to move staff recommendation.
Mr. Chair, I'd be glad to make that motion, staff recommendation.
And a motion from Director Tabor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Director
Brody.
Brody did second it. Thank you both. Okay, I will again do roll call vote starting at the top. Director Sarkar.
I'll move to approve.
Director Lemberger.
Aye.
Director Parodi.
Aye.
Director McCrory is absent. Vice Chair Tabor.
Yes.
And Chair Davis votes yes. Motion passes 5-0 with one absent. Thank you, Ms. White and Mr. Grip, for the presentation and answering of the questions.
Thank you. We got some work to do now.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking forward to the actual installation. We'll go from
Yes.
there. Great. Thank you both. That takes us to item 9. This is fiscal year 2021 first quarter performance reports.
Yes, I'd like to hand this off to Ms. Blackerby, our planning and marketing manager, to update you on our performance as pertains to ridership for the first quarter of the fiscal year. Hillary?
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and Board. Good to be with you and to talk about the first quarter of this fiscal year with regards to ridership. So as always, these are the key performance indicators that we look at by fare category, by passengers and hours and miles, and then digging into the lines by ridership and passengers per hour. We have some sort of numbers at a glance that we track throughout the year. I've added back in UCSB and SBCC ridership since when we weren't collecting fares, we weren't tracking who's who with regards to our student pass program. And then of course, on-time performance. So, this covers July, August, and September of 2021. If you'll recall, when we're comparing year over year, it's like not fun because we're comparing it to a year in which we were not collecting fares, right? And it's some of this information I'll say is when you see this, you can see this year's in blue and last year's in teal. You were telling a story, I guess, as the board member Tabor mentioned, it's good to see fare revenue coming in again. And so that's what all these blue lines are. This is fare revenue of various types. The teal is last year, and under other was free, which was everything, right? Pretty much. We started collecting again in May. May 10th of this year, but that's really just a month and a half of income there. So for the first quarter that we're comparing it to, we were not collecting fares last fiscal year, and this year, of course, we are. So it's good to see people coming back and good to see those numbers ticking up. Just some context for what happened in those 3 months, July through September. We had in August the return of K-12 schools, so junior highs and high schools. So our booster services were back. In August, on the 23rd, the Santa Barbara City College campus reopened, at least partially. They're saying about 40% of students were back on campus. It's a little hard to nail that number down, but we just know it's not a full return, but it is a partial return. And then in September, on the 20th, that's when the UCSB campus reopened. And for anyone watching or the board, if you're interested, the monthly ridership reports are on our website. And that tells an interesting story to see how those things jump up. And we'll get a little picture of it here. So what that meant was when those reopened, we brought back the boosters, we brought back the 15X and 16, and we brought back the line 28. So when you see total passengers, obviously it was up significantly over the first quarter last year, and then revenue hours and miles were up as well. We got our passengers per revenue hour up from 12.4 to 18.2, and then that passengers per mile is up as well. So we're trending in the right direction in all of these metrics. Top 5 lines by ridership. This is something that we've been looking at now for a couple years. For all of the pandemic until now, these lines were in this same order, except after line 20 would come line 1, the west side line. But line 24X, the express to UCSB, has edged out line 1 and has hit the top 5. So that's great to see. That's inching up. And I would bet good money that when I show you the second quarter, the line 28 will be in this number. So we're starting to get back to sort of normal in that the lines that are our biggest performers are starting to creep up as the campuses come back. But pretty good robust numbers on these lines. Now this really tells a story. Top 5 lines by passengers per hour. So this is very different than what it's been looking like. Throughout the pandemic, passengers per hour, the highest ones, it's been in like the high teens, and they've all gone up every month. I mean, every month and every quarter, right? So in this quarter, right, this is quarterly numbers. In this quarter, the line 28 ran from September 20th to September 30th. So in 10 days of service, we saw 69.7 passengers per hour on the line 28. This was almost an impossible chart to show you because this one just, went off the charts basically. And the lowest was line 24X with 21.1. I'll tell you, in comparison to the fourth quarter, the quarter that came just before this, our lowest passengers per hour here, 21.1, is higher than our highest passengers per hour in the fourth quarter. So everything is really starting to tick up. And it's good to see that it's not just the university associated lines, right? But line 28 is just the darling, the ridership darling as ever. So it's coming back in a big way. And I think once we see our October numbers, our November numbers, when it's running for more than 10 days out of the month, we're going to see some significant numbers because we are seeing full buses out in IB. So this quarter over last year's first quarter, ridership's up 52%. We're seeing some, again, in this time, we had seated load capacity at the beginning of the quarter, and then towards the end of September when UCSB came back, excuse me, we lifted capacity restrictions on September 22nd, I believe. And so 2 full to board loads, obviously that number has gone down because it's harder to get to a 2 full to board. When we had 20 people, when we were allowing 12 people on, it was pretty easy to hit that cap. One of the stories I've been telling throughout the pandemic is that our wheelchair boardings and bicycles carried has been very steady, in fact, stronger and outpacing ridership. But now we're seeing, with regards to bicycles, and I looked into this a bit, trying to figure out, now why is this dipping down? I think that we probably hit a peak of bike use on our system. We saw a lot of bike use throughout the pandemic. And while we don't have, survey data on the folks who are putting their bikes on board, which I would love to do, I think a few things are bringing us this trend. And we'll see if it's a trend. This is just 1 quarter. Excuse me. A couple of things. One, our line 3, which serves the Oak Park and Cottage Hospital area. We've been using the downtown and waterfront shuttles, the BYD shuttles on those. And those don't have bike racks. And so right now that means, a line that normally would be with a regular bus with a 2-position bike rack doesn't have the capacity to carry that. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I think as we see ridership go up, I think more people might just be taking the bus full stop, not supplementing it with a bike trip on either end. So we'll see if this trend continues, but that is down a bit, though it is still pretty robust number. So again, when you're comparing, I felt ridiculous putting this on a slide, which is why I put, versus FY19. So looking at student ridership in the quarter for UCSB, Stanford City College, again, these numbers are ridiculous. These are 6-figure increases, percentage increases, because we weren't measuring these things when we weren't taking fare payment. So the green number is obviously ridiculous, but and we know that certainly UCSB and City College students were riding during the time that we were not collecting fares. So what I gave you in the red is to compare this to pre-pandemic. So UCSB ridership over FY19 first quarter is down 48.5%, and then City College is down 84.5%. However, obviously the reverse of that is what what we've made up since then. And again, this just shows this quarter just has, basically a month and a week of City College and basically a week and a half of UCSB. So it doesn't really totally tell a story at this point, but just wanted to start putting these numbers in again so we can track that. On-time performance continues to be strong. As a reminder, our goal is over 80% on time, and so we did not have any lines fall below 80, and we had 12 lines that were above 90%. So we continue to watch this. I think we'll see in the next, there's a little bit in September, and then I think we'll see in the next quarter. I don't know for sure this is going to happen, but there's been significant construction on Carrillo. We have a lot of service that goes through there on either side of the underpass at 101. And so there's going to be some, I think, effects since we've had to detour and there's been lots of delays around there, that may affect some of our on-time performance up in the next report. Fingers crossed it won't, but I just want to sort of warn you, when you see a lot of stuff out on the street that affects cars, it also affects buses getting around efficiently or having to sort of go around a neighborhood to get to where they need to go. And again, my favorite chart, I will present it every chance I get. All of the lines averaged about 80% on time this time. So with that, that's my last slide on that. I will stop sharing. I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Great, thank you for the report, Hillary. Really interesting period of time, and we're really trying to figure out what's up and what's down. So I thought you presented it quite well. Paula, you have a question, Director Prodi.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Hillary, for a great report. A couple questions. Maybe I missed it in the report, and I apologize if it's listed in here. I didn't see it. How for the buses? How many? What's the restriction level? How many have we increased the amount of passengers on buses, and what is that number? I'm just curious.
Sure. So at this point, and starting September 22nd, we removed all capacity restrictions. So we're back to the normal level. Obviously, people still have to wear masks per federal law, and that was just extended through to mid-March. And it's in line with, we were restricted way longer than most transit agencies, I would say, in California. So yeah, now we're back up to sort of normal capacity levels.
Good to hear. And my second question was on UCSB and the students that are being housed in hotels. Who's taking care of those students, getting them to UCSB? Is it MTD, or did you have to make some different arrangements? What's going on with that?
So we were advised when that at the beginning of the school year where those locations were, the hotels, and I think they've started to move folks out. Out of those bit by bit. I'm not sure what the status is of that. They let us know where they were, and we sort of let them know what bus lines were nearby. So several of them are, very like on the line basically. And some were a little farther out, but like the line 11, the line 7, those cover, get very close to or go right in front of the hotels. The line 7 doesn't go directly to the campus, so that does mean they have to transfer. But that's my understanding.
Okay. And on behalf of the city of Goleta, we apologize for all the stress your MTD buses drivers had to go through with our signals getting knocked over, and then being 4-way stops at key intersections, and then Fairview. What a nightmare. So on behalf of the city, we're sorry that you had to go through that. That was bad.
No worries. Thanks.
Great.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Dave, Director Tabor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Paul, I'm sure it wasn't your fault, so don't feel too bad. Looking at the numbers, there was a time in the previous year we were giving bus rides away. And here in this new year, we're charging for rides, and we ended up, once you factor out students, still having close to 100,000 extra riders in the previous year. So I think that's encouraging. The only thing that gives me some, puts me at ill ease is the driver situation. So I'm anticipating, since this quarter only has maybe a month of school ridership, that the numbers are going to jump up again next quarter, as you previewed. Are we going to be able to put those people in a bus with a driver in it?
I'll take that question. Where we're at right now is we've restored a good deal of the service to the university, City College, not quite all of it. And it has to do with the labor shortage. And it's something that you're seeing across the country, quite frankly, especially in our industry. I just got an email yesterday from peers in North County asking me, what it looks like here, and it looks the same. It's a real issue for us, as well as everyone else, and we just will not be able to restore additional service until we're able to hire up. Our HR department, I think, is doing a fantastic job, everything they reasonably can. But it's the circumstance we're in. The key thing is we're just going to have to be transparent and clear with the public about what we can do. And we're kind of at that maximum right now, quite frankly, as far as what the service we're offering. But we'll definitely keep you up to date on any breakthroughs on this. As I mentioned, we will be entering negotiations in the next few months as well with our labor representatives. And I know they're aware of the issue, and we all want to work together to see what we can do to incentivize people to come work at MTD.
At a certain stage, might we have to adjust our schedules accordingly?
It's very possible. I think at this stage, our schedules are good. We've done an excellent job of articulating what's available to people in the public at this point. I think really, and Hillary, correct me if I'm wrong, what's outstanding as it pertains to the students would be the 15 acts, which we haven't restored entirely, which serves Isla Vista to City College. Fortunately for us, City College hasn't come back in full strength yet, maybe next fall. So we probably, that's kind of what I'm thinking time-wise, but you know, Hillary, you might have more current information on the CC's enrollment plans. And then beyond that, I think it's also the 16 we haven't completely restored. Hillary,
yeah,
and the 28.
Yeah, 16 is fully restored, but the 15 is not, and the 28 is not. They're back. It seems like right now with the levels of who's going to City College, that's a sufficient level that we have on the 15X, and having the 16 back is good. The 28, again, like as you all know, before the pandemic, we had 10-minute service and it still kind of was packed all the time. So right now we're at 18-minute headways on the 28. We are turning people away for sure. We do have the RTICs out on that. But again, without more operators, we just weren't able to bring that back. What we really wanted to do, and we've seen it happen in different agencies, different ways, is I don't want to bring back so much service that then somebody calls out sick and we're, you know, having to be like, oh, just kidding. Actually, we're not going to do that. So we're really trying to be very, very responsible and conservative with what service we're putting out there, while still serving, you know, as many people as we can. So it's definitely a challenge, but I think right now we have decent levels out there. The other thing is the line 27 is not fully restored. It's been on an alternate schedule since the beginning of the pandemic. That goes into Isla Vista proper. And so that's still on reduced service, you know, for the same reason.
Yeah, and to be clear, you know, what Hillary's describing is occurring. I mean, we're doing our best to maintain those service levels, but there are days where we're short a little bit, and we do have to, and operations is scrambling, they're doing a fantastic job. And then we try to articulate to the community what's being dropped that day. That's the point we're at. I mean, we need to be completely transparent about, which I think is why Director Tabor is bringing it up, so people understand, you know, the challenges we're having in restoring services. You know, we want to make sure everybody's clear about that. So there could be days where the 16 isn't completely, you know, we're dropping trips as a result of the situation. So.
Director Sarkar.
Just one comment, or in terms of the line 28 and UCSB's ability to have the faculty and staff ride that for free. I just wanted to put that out there. Maybe Hillary can just, so that everybody knows that's one of the factors on that line.
Yeah, so obviously our, you know, UCSB students, as far as the pass program, the pass agreement we have, you know, they use their student ID to board since the university, you know, funds the operation of line 28. Part of that deal is that UCSB staff and faculty show their, you know, valid work ID and can ride the line 28 for free as well. So we know a lot of them do, especially folks who are living out in housing down at the end of IV. So yes, that is still in place.
Good note. Other questions? Okay, not seeing any. Madam Clerk, anyone from the public wishing to speak?
No comments.
Great. Well, Hillary, very interesting. And again, thank you for bringing us up to date. And you know, I know you'll keep your finger on that pulse and let us know as things are going. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the year and how we recover. So we're in the recovery mode, looking good. Thank you. And we're going to move right into item 10, if you don't mind. Measure A, South Coast Bicycle Pedestrian Program, Cycle 5 application.
Yeah, I'm going to hand this off to Ms. Blackerby again to just update you. It's an informational item on, what we've submitted for our project for Measure A South Coast Bicycle and Pedestrian Program this year. Hillary?
Thank you. So Chair and Board, the Cycle 5, so obviously we get funded Measure A for transit purposes every year, but there's also a bicycle and pedestrian program that, you might think, well, we're buses. What do we have to do with that? But we do, as you saw, carry tens of thousands of bikes a year. And so we have our 2-position bike racks now on our fleet. Over the past year, we've been testing out a 3-position rack. It's something there's been much public policy about this over the last 15 years in California, testing it out, making sure, it's not too long in front of the bus and all that. And the sort of marketplace that creates these kinds of things has come up with really good products that are, very, very similarly sized to the 2-position bike racks, but fit 3 bikes. So I will share a photo here in a second, but this bike and pedestrian program is something that we are eligible to apply for bike and pedestrian needs. We just need to be sponsored by a local agency, and we did get sponsorship from the cities of Goleta, Santa Barbara, Carpinteria, and County of Santa Barbara. We really all need one, but I want to give a shout out to actually Jessica Grant from the city of Santa Barbara, who suggested, we went to her first and they said yes, but suggested, maybe since we serve the whole South Coast, maybe all of the agencies would sponsor us. And so it was a great idea, and it worked. So everybody said yes. So thanks to all of them for doing that. Really, that just means they signed a form. It doesn't mean they have to spend any money, which is great, but they don't have to spend any money or do any really administrative work on this if we're funded, and we'll be writing the application. The application is due February 1st. We just submitted a pre-application. They do that so they can see a list of, how many people and how many agencies, how many projects, and how much money are they asking for. That's been released, and surprise, surprise, well, there's $1 million available. It's about $3 million worth of projects put in pre-applications. So we're still going for it, and we'll be submitting that prior to the deadline. But it's a pretty, in the grand scheme of things, pretty small amount of money, about $160,000. And that would fund 100 of these 3-position bike racks. That would allow us to retrofit the whole fleet. Obviously, we have more in there, but what we're doing now is any rack that is broken, needs to be replaced at the end of its useful life, will be replaced with a 3-position rack. And so they will start to come in. Right now, there's the sample one. It's on unit 644, if you ever are looking for it. And it's been really popular with drivers, with passengers, and it's just a better product overall. So I'll show you a picture. Whoops. Oh, great. Now I got to go through all my slides. I put it at the end of my, there we go. Okay, so this is what the rack looks like in the stowed position and downward position. You can see it really doesn't like go much higher when it's stowed than the 2-position one. And so it has a sort of diagonal setup for the middle bike. The great thing about these is the little trench that the bike goes into is much wider. And we're seeing a lot of wider tires out there on the road, not just on e-bikes, but on bikes in general. And so this is able to fit ones that our current racks really don't. And then it also, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but at the end of the rack where the back bike wheel goes, it's not capped at the end like our existing one is. So that makes it possible for sort of different size frames and wheels to fit a little better. It's just I'd say an overall better product, and obviously it being new is nice as well. So this is what they are. As far as installation, that's what we would be covering with our own folks. We don't have to hire any outside contractors or anything. All of our buses are scheduled for preventative maintenance inspections. And so our fleet and facilities manager has said, you know, should we get this grant and have this be a project of ours, they would just block out time to replace this whenever a PM inspection would be happening. So it won't happen all overnight. It'll happen bit by bit, but people would start to see them out on the road. And we do definitely have a lot of circumstances where people say, ugh, you know, I got to the bus stop, I had my bike, and then it was full, you know, and that's frustrating, obviously, because then you're either waiting for the next bus or you're biking to your destination when you're planning to take the bus. So I think it could help ridership in the long run and to be more reliable. So that's the plan for that. Happy to take any questions.
Good. Questions from the board? Really happy to see this. I mean, it's been a long time. I could say 15 years of discussion for sure. And I'm sure glad that the CHP or whoever basically made the changes that they did too, coming along the line. Okay, great. Madam Clerk, do I have anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
No, but I do see Dave Tabor's hand raised,
Yeah, I'll come back to the board.
but no public comment.
Great, thanks. Director Tabor, Dave.
At least somebody noticed. I was wondering, this $160,600, how many units would this cover?
That's 100 of them. Yeah.
If your hand's still up, Dave. Got it. You. Okay. Not hearing anything, as this was informational. Hillary, good luck. Let's get this grant. Oh, I see Paula's hand now. Sorry, we're not done.
I just want to quickly say somebody should get a hold of Olivia and let her know. I remember she's a past board member for those that are new, and this was something she brought up on a regular basis. So somebody should let her know. But I think this is great, fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. We'll make sure she knows. Thank you for that. Good. Okay. Item 11. This is the financial update for the first quarter of fiscal year 2021-22.
Again, good morning. I'd like to introduce Thais Syed, our interim controller and finance manager, to give you a snapshot of our financials at the end of the first quarter. As the board knows, we typically come back with more comprehensive discussion of the finances when we do the mid-year budget revision early in the calendar year, as well as the draft budget. So this is a quick snapshot for you. And with that, Thais, it's all yours.
All right. Good morning, Chair Davis and members of the board. As our general manager mentioned, we will be reviewing the first quarter financial outcome of the fiscal year. And yes, it is definitely a snapshot. It is limited to the 3 months of data and the service plan that went into effect halfway into this reporting period. Can I have the next slide, please? A $2.1 million deficit was estimated, but the district overall fared better than expected, and the $1 million actual deficit was fairly flat with the prior year. So how did this happen? Well, total operating revenue was 3% more than budgeted and grew by 8% compared to the prior year, while expenses were 5% less than budgeted and grew by 4% over the prior year. But budgeted wages and fringe benefits didn't come to fruition because the district had numerous vacancies in the quarter. This was coupled with the fact that we had a significant amount of fare revenue stemming from fares collected at the fare box, along with the selling of bus passes. It's a little soon to say if this volume of cash fares and bus pass sales will be sustained throughout the fiscal year, but nonetheless, it is a beneficial start to the fiscal year. I want to point out that this quarter's recorded fare revenue of nearly $750,000 was equal to 55% of our fare revenue from the pre-pandemic period of July to September 2019. On the topic of fare revenue, it was noted in the staff report that the district did not receive summer contract fares from UCSB or Santa Barbara City College. I am happy to report that we have since received contract fares from UCSB and are on track to receive the Santa Barbara City College contract fares soon. Next slide, please. Sales tax revenues accounts for almost half of our annual operating revenue budget, and it is based on two sources: Measure A sales tax and local transportation fund sales tax, also referred to as LTF. For this quarter, LTF was less than projected and also decreased compared to the prior year. The district is awaiting approval from SBCAG to appropriate and disperse the LTF year-end balance in the fund. Since SBCAG's approved appropriation for the district was based on LTF estimates, all disbursements are automatically capped at the approved appropriation amount. In the event there are remaining funds in this account that surpass the approved appropriation, SBCAG requires all recipients to file a claim on that year-end balance. The district is currently awaiting review and approval on such monies, totaling a little more than $900,000. On this slide, I inserted the year-end balance into the month of August and also added the most recent LTF revenue. The dashed green line illustrates an upward trend of what LTF may look like given the recent LTF information and given SBCAG approves the year-end balance disbursements. So if the additional LTF funds could have been captured in this reporting period, along with the UCSB summer contract fares, the quarter would have closed out with a $600,000 deficit instead of a $1.6 million deficit reflected on the prior slide. Next slide, please. Earlier, I mentioned there were operating expenses that didn't come to fruition, which contributed to a smaller deficit than projected, and noted vacant positions being a main driver. This is not isolated to the current period and has been an ongoing factor, as General Manager Estrada discussed a little while ago. The district remains committed to filling the vacant operation and vehicle maintenance positions, as well as addressing vacancies in administrative positions. The second bulleted item pertains to our liability and workers' compensation expenses for the quarter. These costs were less than budgeted and decreased from the prior year due to the combined effects of outlays and reserve levels on claims. In summary, the financial outcome of the first quarter was favorable as our deficit was less than projected. Staff will continue to monitor the financial impacts resulting from the employment levels, the service plan, and revenue sources in preparation of the 6-month update and the revised budget, which will be brought in the early part of 2022. Next slide, please. This concludes my presentations, and are there any questions from the board?
Questions from the board? Director Tabor, I see your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a question per se, but I wanted to thank Thais for throwing in that chart on the LTF revenues on a monthly basis. So you can see a clear dip like every 3 or 4 months in there, but it's good to see that the trend is upwards nonetheless. So it'd make you worry this report, just seeing that number in the charts without that trend over time. Thank you.
Good point. Very good point. Any other questions at this point? Madam Clerk, is anyone wishing to speak from the public?
I don't have any public comment.
Great, thank you very much. This is an informational item, Thais, thank you. And we'll look forward to the continuing reporting. Hopefully that trend for everything is basically going positive for us in that regard.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. That takes us to item 12, staff health insurance renewal effective January 1st, 2022. We're looking to authorize general manager to renew the staff health insurance policies. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, Chair Davis, this is an action item. I'm going to hand it off to Mary Gregg, our Chief Operating Officer, to give you the details. Mary?
All right. Good morning, Chair Davis. Good morning to the board. And want to wish everybody a happy holidays as we enter into the holiday season here, since we won't see till the flip side in January, probably. So January 1st is the renewal date for the staff health insurance. That health insurance has two policies, our medical insurance and our dental insurance. And this is insurance for unrepresented employees not represented by a collective bargaining agreement. So I do want to make that clear. So I'm pleased to report that due to a leveling out on some of the utilization in the HMO in the pooled program for a small group that we participate with, our renewal numbers look really good. We're looking at a 3.3% increase in the premium on the medical insurance. And as you can see from the chart on the second page of the report, we had a pretty big increase last year. That was really based on two factors. One was in large part the pandemic and multiple high dollar claims within the Southern California market that really kind of impacted and drove that. So as I mentioned in our pooled program, that has pretty leveled out. And so we're looking at 3.3% increase on the medical. On the dental side of things, we do have a 4% increase. We've worked with Guardian for many years. They've been committed to MTD to try and keep our renewal rates as flat or as low as possible. And so we really haven't had an increase a lot over the course of the last 5 to 10 years. So the impact on that is a small increase for this year. So happy to take any questions. With that, staff is recommending the board authorize the general manager to renew the staff medical and dental insurance policies.
Great. Thank you so much for the report, Ms. Gregg. Any questions from the board? Going in the right direction. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. I'll ask for public comment. Is there any public comment, Madam Clerk?
No hands raised, no public comment.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for the report, Ms. Gregg. And I will close this item with an action roll call vote. I need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to authorize the general manager to renew both health insurance policies.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, directed by Director Tabor, by Director Lemberger. Okay, start at the top. Director Sarkar.
Move to approve, yes.
Director Lemberger.
Yes.
Director Perotti.
Oh, excuse me. Aye.
Okay. You're excused. Director McCrory is absent. Director Vice Chair Tabor.
Yes.
And Chair Tabor votes yes. Motion is approved 5-0 with 1 absent. Thank you, Ms. Gregg.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. That takes us to annual election of board officers. Any nominations for board officers at this point? Not hearing any, we'll close this item.
Well, I mean, I'll say that your chairmanship and ability to move us through this process and efficiently has been is really you do a great job, Dave. So I really appreciate your chairmanship.
Okay, I'm looking for any nominations.
Chair,
Go ahead.
I'll nominate you. Is that appropriate at this time?
Sure it is. Sure it is. Is there a second?
I agree.
Is there a second to that?
Yeah, I'll make the second.
Okay. Directors, again, because we're on Zoom, roll call vote on that particular one. Director Sarkar,
Yes.
Lemberger,
Yes.
Parodi,
Aye.
Chuck's absent, Vice Chair Tabor.
Yes.
Well, I vote for myself, I guess. Okay, I nominate Dave Tabor as Vice Chair. Is there a second? Second by Parodi. Okay, we'll do the same. We'll do the same thing. Director Sarkar,
Yes.
Director Lemberger,
Yes.
Director Parodi.
Yes.
Chuck is absent. Vice Chair Tabor.
Am I
Think
supposed to
about it,
vote on this
buddy.
one?
Yes, you get to vote on yourself. Just say yes.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, now we do need a secretary. Let me tell you what secretary involves, because for the new members, Jen and Arjun, essentially, Christina sends out the minutes, the draft minutes, and you just review those and send your comments back to her on the draft minutes. And then the other duty of the secretary is to attest to any signatures of Jerry or mine if there's a resolution or a formal contract that needs an attestation. That's the right word? Attestation of the signatures. So review of the minutes for Christina and attesting the signatures on resolutions. Those are the two functions. Anyone wish to make a motion, volunteer, do anything to pick up where Bill Sheeler used to basically cover that base for us?
I can volunteer.
Okay, I will move Jen Lemberger. Is there a second to that motion?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Jen. We'll vote on that one too. Director Sarkar,
Yes.
Yes.
Lemberger. Yes, I love it. Parodi,
Yes.
Director McCrory is absent. Vice Chair Tabor.
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes in that regard. Thank you so much for your service and stepping up in that regard. Okay, that's going to close us out at this particular point. We have a number of closed sessions, which I'm going to call.
Chair
Jerry,
Davis,
yes, go ahead.
there was no public comment on that
Thank
item.
you. You sure? Okay. Jerry, just for future reference, like we again move the other business reports up above the closed sessions in the next agenda. So we'll,
Sure.
it's where it's at today. We'll just keep it there for now.
Yeah, happy to do
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Let me call the closed sessions and we'll take public comment on any of those after I've read them into the record. First one is item 15. This is the recess to closed session on real property negotiations of property 4678 Kyrial 149 North San Antonio Road. The agency negotiators are General Manager Jerry Estrada. The district outside counsel is Graham Lyons. The negotiating partners are Chandler Partners and the Con Ann Group. Under negotiations, the price in terms of payment. Item 16 is the recess to closed session public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 and Section 54954.5 subsection E to evaluate the performance of the district's general manager. Item 17 is the recess to closed session of the conference of labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Sections 54957 subsections B1, 54957.6. The agency designated representatives are MTD General Manager Jerry Estrada and the unrepresented employees performance review. In item 18, this is a recess to closed session conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency designated representatives, MTD General Manager Jerry Estrada, and Interim Chief Operating Officer, Chief Safety Officer, Mary Grigg. So Madam Clerk, on those particular items, 15, 16, 17, and 18, is there any hands raised or anyone wishing to speak under public comment? Mr. Estrada?
Yeah, I think we need to make sure item 14, General Manager's Report.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I tried to get your attention before you read all that.
Yeah, no, I still read all that. Okay, I'm going to actually, we ask that we postpone item 14 to after the closed session. Just keep moving on at this particular point. General consensus for that, everybody raise their hand, just for the record. Okay, we will move item 14 to after the closed sessions. Thanks for catching that, Jerry. I was looking ahead to the big dogs. Sorry.
No public comment.
No public comment. That we will stand in recess. Go ahead.
Actually, I have a hand raised from, I'll read out the email address. It's gagarcia99@yahoo.com.
Okay. Hey, with your hand raised, GA Garcia 99, would you like to speak on this item? Any of these items?
We're just waiting for an unmute.
Got it.
Mr. Garcia, we need you to unmute.
Hi.
There we go.
There we go.
There you're on. You're on.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And good morning, Chair Davis and members of the MTD board. My name is Gabriel Garcia. I am a member of the public, and I was calling. I know I'm a little late, and it was public comment. And I hope that I can make this comment. And if it's not okay, then I completely understand.
You know what? You're on. So Gabe, go right ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to, I tried to get here earlier to get to the recognition of the retirements for Mr. Sheldon and Mr. Morris. And I just wanted to congratulate them on Tom on his 18 years of service, on Bill Morris of his 45 years of service. And I had the pleasure of working with Bill for almost 10 years at MTD. And I know that they're going to be big shoes to fill. And I know and have the utmost confidence in General Manager Estrada, appointing the right person to help the district. I know there's been some difficulties with the pandemic, and I want to commend everybody's work to keep the buses on the road and keep our citizens on the road and giving them the ability to get to the places that they need to be. And I know that it was really difficult, and I can't say enough about your leadership there at MTD, and just congratulate both Tom and Bill on their retirements, and then on the performance reviews I believe that you're doing on some employee performances. I just want to tell the board that I think General Manager Estrada is doing a great job. I continue to kind of keep in touch with what's going on there, just from an interagency cooperation, and I know that they're doing great. And your Chief Operating Officer and Chief Safety Officer, Mary Gregg, I know that she's really done a great job on being that resource and that complimentary employee to General Manager Estrada. So anyways, I want to wish everybody a very, very happy and healthy holiday season, and continue the great work that you're doing. And I can't thank the board enough also for what you do and the time that you give for your appointments to the board. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thanks for weighing in on that, and happy holidays to you and yours for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, we will stand in recess to close session. Let's take a 3-minute break, and we'll be back here. And Jerry, you close out and get us back into closed session.
Will do.
And for all of the attendees, except for Mr. Lyons, of course, if you could exit the meeting now. Jerry,
Yes.
I made you host before I stopped the recording and before I stopped the YouTube. Can you do that?
Yeah,